everybody, welcome. We're doing our second live, our second hands-on seminar, training, webinar, whatever you want to call it. We are coming to you live across a couple of different platforms. I think YouTube being one of them. I don't know if we're on TikTok this time, but we're doing Instagram, we're doing Facebook. So wherever you're coming to us, understand this is full ask the questions as we go. They will stop me as we have our questions, and they will ask those questions as we come up. Again, this is plumber heavy, so we're going to try to keep this specifically for plumbers. Now, mind you, we have a lot of pool guys that do the crossover from pool guys to plumbing. Actually, we're getting some people coming up now, so Quinn, hello. Blaine, hello. Everybody, again, you want to write anything up there as you go, please, again, ask questions. Let this be an open forum. But where we're going on the pool side of this is, again, this is all about plumbing equipment. That's what we're going to get into. But when we get on the pool side, we have a lot of seasonal business in the United States for that matter, and around the world. So there's a lot of sections of the country where you're not working in the winter. You're sitting for like 4 months, and why not do plumbing leak detections at those points? The money is good, the repair work is even better, and we're going to talk about conversion. We're going to talk about the amount of money you should be making from the leak detections to the conversions to the actual repairs, where most of that money actually comes from. So with that being said, we're going to move on. We're going to come forward. We're going to teach you a lot about isolation. We're going to teach you a little bit about the business side of this. We're going to teach you about everything that there is to know about the plumbing leak detection on this one. So here we go. That being said, let's move forward.
Hold on, give me a second.
You ready to move forward? And again, keep those questions coming in as we go, and if you have them, we will be glad to answer them. So, that being said, who I am, my name is Darren Merlo. Again, if you've watched any of my presentations, if you've done my training, we've trained thousands and thousands of swimming pool contractors and plumbing contractors and irrigation contractors all over the world in the art of leak detection. But not just on the LeakTronics side, and that's the leak detection side, but Torque Lock is a structural crack repair product used in both the swimming pool industries, landscape industries. It's used for a lot of basement and foundation repairs. Pipoxy is a repair system where we're able to fix pool pipes and irrigation pipes without having to cut. So again, it's an epoxy lining system that will literally go in and line. Under Caltech leak detection, I do a lot of consulting on very high-end jobs. I don't do the small work anymore. We do some pretty big work. We travel worldwide, and that's kind of what we do on that. So that's about the businesses. And like I said, as we go, the leak detection side, again, we travel. We will go and we will consult. We do jobs all over the world. Picture up here is of one I was doing, one on the island of Mustique in the Caribbean. So again, whether it's in a big city, whether it's in another country, we will come out and we will do those leak detections. Again, as long as they're high end. We manufacture, so we literally build all our products here in Agora Hills, California. We manufacture our microphones, we manufacture our cameras, we manufacture everything there is to do with our equipment. Therefore, a big thing to know about what we do as far as the manufacturing is concerned is if there's a problem with our stuff, if there's a warranty issue, we just go ahead and fix it. Why? Because we manufacture it. We don't have to send it to a third party. We don't have to rely on others to do our stuff. So again, if you run into those kinds of issues, we're here to fix everything. So again, we have the warranty like nobody else in the whole industry. We teach leak detection. We have a comprehensive training program, and our training program all went online. We did that right around COVID when people weren't traveling anymore. But let me tell you, it's so much better on the pool side and on the plumbing side than what we actually had here to train. Now, there was a couple of companies in the United States that are building training facilities, that have training facilities out there, but they're not good, and let me tell you why they're not good. The reason why they're not good is you're teaching under one slab. Our online training teaches you commercial, it teaches you residential, it teaches you many different situations, hands-on. So again, while it's not having the equipment in your hand, it's literally getting you to learn how to isolate. It's teaching you so much more than you could learn on just one slab in a field, in a hot weather situation. Our training you could do online at your convenience. You could train multiple people. You could train your whole company for that matter. We have a testing platform with it where we will test your people and we will literally make sure that everything is up to snuff before we certify you. With that being said, also one of the big things that we do is we teach continuing education hours at our trade shows. So again, we do almost all the pool shows. We do the Flow Plumbing show, and we're going to be doing a lot more plumbing shows as we go. But let's get into the plumbing leak detection equipment, which we're showing you up here. The plumbing leak detection equipment consists of larger deck plates. We're going to get into this stuff one by one. But again, no matter whose equipment you have, and I want to say this before we do get into the equipment, there's a couple of decent manufacturers out there, and there's a couple of really bad manufacturers out there. Not going to name names or anything like that. But it's all about the user, and let me tell you, it's a lot about isolation. It's about understanding the property where you're working at, whether it's commercial or residential. If a house has a pool, does it have an autofill tied to that pool? If a house has a separate building, does it have any sinks? Does it have any type of irrigation? Again, you have to isolate irrigation. You have to get into that. Let's get back to the equipment and we'll get more about the isolation, how to walk a property and do everything properly. So with that being said, we're going to get into some of our stuff. So here's the whole layout of our plumbing equipment. We have soft-sided listening discs so you don't scratch cabinetry and laminate flooring and other things like that. We have deck plates for when we're listening on hard surfaces, whether that be pavers, whether that be a hard slab, whether you're listening on a driveway or whatever it may be. That's what you're going to use as your go-to. The most important part is our pipe probe. So again, it's a probe with multiple handles. So again, when you're walking the inside of a property, what you want to do is work with just one of your smaller handles. And what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to touch stub-ups in a house. And when you're doing so, if you have a metal line, that's going to transfer the sound of noise and of a leak. Leaks are acoustic. Again, all of this stuff is acoustic. It's about listening. Let's not mix it up. Again, we have camera equipment. That's for another topic. This stuff is all about the acoustic listening of it. But again, this plugged into your amp is going to get you to those areas. So with that being said, let's move on to our next. Did we have any questions as we come up yet? Are we good?
No, but we did have some audio issues that are resolved now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're good.
All right.
It's just that you had the wrong mic. It was my mic that was picking up the audio.
Oh, were they still picking me up on that mic over there?
No.
Okay.
You're good now.
All right, good. Now that we're good, let's move on as we go. That being said, let's just jump to the next slide, and we're going to go over the equipment. Again, like I just said in the frame before, we have our deck plate. It comes with a convenient carry duffel. I like to throw all of my stuff, all of my equipment, all of my plugs in those types of duffel bags. Again, we have the soft-sided listening disc. It comes with a multitude of plugs, over-the-ear headphones to reduce any background noise. Anybody who's been doing this for any long period of time, your biggest enemy in leak detection is going to be background noises. It's going to be jets. It's going to be landscapers pulling up to a job when you're working inside of a house. It's going to be all sorts of things. Everything comes in a convenient case where you could actually, store everything. You want to wipe everything down, keep it dry when you put it away. But now let's jump on to the next slide. We're going to go to talking about the actual specific equipment itself. And that is going to be our LT1000. You want to jump slides, Drew?
Was it not working?
Oh, I didn't, but here we go. Look, I'm in control now.
We actually do have a question from Jeff Terranova.
Let's go, Jeff.
Yeah, we got a ton of people in here right now.
Good.
Also, apologies for the
sound
issues.
Yeah, sorry for the sound issues that we had, working out a couple of kinks. And let's move forward.
All right, so Jeff had a question. Can you use the pipe probe, soil probe with the Leak Stick XLR?
Yes, you can. The Leak Stick is a separate piece of equipment, more for pre-diagnosing. Again, it's an unmetered piece of equipment, and we will get into that in an unseminar. But no, you could use the probe of the soil probe in a Leak Stick, Absolutely. And again, most of the attachments are the same. So it's a good question, Jeff, and I appreciate the questions. Do you have any other questions, or are you ready to move forward?
That was all for now.
Okay, good deal.
Make sure you ask questions, folks.
Yeah, ask questions as we go. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out and ask them. So our deck plate, again, let's get more specific. Unlike the pool deck plate, this is a lot larger of a deck plate, and it's able to hear and cover a lot more distance. So it's a very, very sensitive piece of equipment. So again, it's all acoustic, but when you're listening with the deck plate, you got to make sure that you're pressuring that pipe up properly. So doing so is using our pressure rig. The pressure rig allows you to isolate a line and induce water and air combined. And why do we do that? We do water and air combined in order to create the sounds that we need to hear. So if it's under, let's say, a soft soil, if it's under a rocky landscape, if it's under a plush carpet on a slab, we like to use something called our soil probe, which is our pipe probe with the extensions. And why do we do it with the extensions? We do it so that we not have to bend over. So we have a 3-foot extension, and you're literally touching the ground with what you're listening to. It's really important to know that when you're using the pressure rig and you're using the deck plate combined, it's a 2-person operation. Somebody's going to be running the air and water controlled, and we teach you all this in our training course. So somebody's got to be running the air, somebody's going to be running the water together while somebody's listening. And this could get dangerous, so be careful. You never want to build your pressures up too high. By doing so, you could blow out a plug, you could hurt somebody. And one of my biggest pet peeves is out on a job, if I'm listening and somebody is running that pressure rig, they better not take a text, they better not take a phone call while they're doing it. They could create a problem where they're not building it up to the right pressure if they're not taking, paying attention to it, and somebody's listening for a leak that isn't going on, and that will make you crazy. Or they could build it up to too much pressure because they're texting or they're not paying attention. It could blow something out. It could cause damage to the plumbing system, and it could cause personal harm. It could knock a plug out, and it could do some serious damage. If anybody's seen that happen before, you don't want to be around when something blows out like that. So that being said, we're going to go on to the next slide. Any questions as we go?
Yeah, we do have a question from David Allen on YouTube about the LT1000. Sure. How often is frequency data used to determine leaks?
We don't like to use frequency data. So in other words, this is an all hardware system. And let me get into it a little bit. I'm glad you asked the question. Again, there's no software in here. Again, as far as frequency, on other people's equipment,
doing leak detection's
they
all
have
wrong.
Frequency. Is that running that video?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So on other people's equipment, they have frequency settings. We don't, because we listen across all multitude of frequencies. So when we're listening, that's exactly what we're doing. By doing so and not having to worry about frequency, it makes the thing so much more user-friendly and so much easier to use. Again, this is a battle axe. This thing has been out in the market for about 12 or 13 years. Try to understand, plumbers are not so nice to their equipment. This thing drops in puddles. This thing gets beat up. This thing on the pool side deals with electronics and chlorination, chlorinated water. So as much as these things get beat up, they take a beating and they keep on going. So good question about the frequency. I hope we were able to answer that properly. And now let's move on.
And then there was also a second part to that question. What are the ranges associated with leaks versus interference?
Okay, look, you could get interference. A lot of times we're getting interference, but we have changed filters. We used to have a serious problem with it. We're having a lot less problems with it now. Our frequency is from the low to high. So we're not adjusting and saying, okay, you're within this frequencies. That's where a lot of the user error comes in. We listen across the gamut of frequencies of the type of leaks that we're actually listening for.
I don't know if Jeff Terranova is being serious here or not, but he asks, how can I get into plumbing leak detection today?
Today, basically by joining up on our leak detection training. We have a specific plumber's leak detection training. We're going to get a little bit of that into the end when we go into our app. Again, we make this really easy for you, from building your websites to training you, to giving you an app to report on your jobs, to doing literally everything that there is. But again, we'll talk more about the business side towards the end of these presentations.
David Allen asks, what is the max distance from the leak you can be and still hear it?
Good question. Again, you could be anywhere within the leak. Again, that pressure rig is going to send air and water, so it's going to flood outside the pipe. This is what we're trying to do with the pressure rig, and then we're going to hit it with air. We've done hundreds and hundreds of feet. Look, the closer you are, the quicker the air is going to get to the leak and the faster that you're going to find it, right? If it's further down the line, it's going to take that air a little bit longer, but it's always going to work up its way there. One thing, that's a really good question. It brings me to another point that I wanted to talk about. You always want to inject from the lowest point. It's easy to get air to work its way up. Air is always going to work its way up in a water column. It's hard to get air to work its way down. Now, we can get it to work its way down, but that sometimes takes a long time, so it's a good question. We're always going to get the air to that leak. It's just a matter of time. The further down the line it is, the longer it's going to take for us to actually get to it.
And I guess I actually have an additional question to that.
Shoot.
Maybe I was interpreting that question a little bit differently, but how far, when you're using the pressure rig
depth-wise?
and the deck plate, yeah, like what's the depth that you can?
Good. I mean, 6, 7, 8 feet. Remember, in the cold areas, in the frost areas, a lot of these lines are buried 4 to 6 feet deep. We're hearing those leaks. Are they harder to hear? Absolutely. If it's right under a slab, it's so much easier to hear than if it's at 6 feet deep. But you know, we can get those noises to be heard at 6 feet. Again, it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to be a lot harder to hear, but you will be able to actually hear those leaks.
I got another question here about the LT1000. A lot of questions about the LT1000.
Shoot, let's go.
Do you mute every time you move to a new listening point?
Absolutely.
And what is the sense and filter button for?
Good question. Yes, absolutely. Now, with our new leak stick, which is out there, it's push to listen. So the unit's always muted, and then we just literally push to listen as we're going. But with the LT1000, we have a convenient mute button right here. Always keep it muted, and I like to keep it muted from moving from one spot to the other. You know, you could tap a fence and it could be really loud. Remember, always adjust your volume to, you know, the minimums. Always bring up your volume when you're over an area. You have full control over your equipment and nothing's going to be running around. If you have a dog running around the job site, all you're going to hear are their nails on the deck and you're not going to hear what you're listening for. So good question. Control your job site. Always mute in between. If you're using the actual leak stick, no need to. Let's move on.
Doing leak detection.
I'm going to move on, not to that video, but I'm going to move on to something called our PG2. So our PG2 is an acoustic listening device. And try to understand, a lot more houses, a lot more construction that's going on is with plastic, with PVC, with poly, with PEX. Now with those, we used to be able to charge a line, literally sending a frequency into the line, and that's a good method, and we're building our own brand of a piece of equipment like that as we speak. But that's not going to work on PVC, it's not going to work on plastic, it's not going to work on poly types of pipes. The PG2 was made for that. If you could actually hear it clicking as we go, and we had a video of it running as we just went. What that does is it hooks it up to any kind of spigot, whether it's hot water or cold water. We have a release over here where we could hook up a waste hose to get the water away from the property as we're going. And when you let water run through here, what it's going to do is it's going to shut, open, shut, open. And what's that doing? It's created a very small water tap throughout the other pipes that are in the house. So whether you're listening on a branch that's running off of that line, whether you're listening to just a stagnant line, whether you're listening to PEX, PVC, or whatever it might be, you're going to take your listening equipment, and again, if you're over a slab,
Doing leak detection's all wrong.
If you're over anything else, you're going to wind up using just
Doing leak
that.
detection's all
So,
wrong.
With that being said, we're going to walk you out to a property right now and show you this video so you can check it out and you can see how we actually do it.
Doing leak detection's all wrong.
This is the slab leak, a typical slab leak. Water's coming in from underground. We take that roof off the house so you can see we just have a slab and what's going on underneath it. This is what we have as far as shutoffs to listen to. So we have valves, we have everything that's exposed, and when everything stubs up, we're going to touch it and listen to it. But first we're going to come over and we're going to babysit the meter. If we have it running with nothing running in the house, that means we have a leak. Next thing we're going to do is see if we have a shutoff in the house. If we do, we're going to shut that down. If it stops, the leak is under the house. But if it's still running, then we're going to determine that that leak is between A, the meter, and B, the shutoff, which is going to be the distance in between. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to open that valve back back up. It's very important. Otherwise, you're going to be listening for a leak that doesn't exist. Now that it's leaking again, we're going to walk the outside perimeter of the property, allowing us to touch any stub ups and see. Then we're going to hug the house, staying on the exterior. We're going to be touching anything that we could see, and then we're going to go in the house, and we're always going to stay right. Pattern is everything. You won't miss anything that way. When we're walking the house, we're touching stub ups, we're touching valves, we're touching everything under. When we do hear a leak, what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with water and air. So there's water in there, and then we're going to hit it with the air from the pressure rig. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a very distinct boil. The boil is something we're going to pick up with the deck plate, as you could see here. There's saturation, air coming out of the pipe, and we're listening with the deck plate to that specific boil and putting us over the leak every time.
To purchase.
Okay. So let's talk about isolation. Again, that's in a perfect situation where there's no house on a slab, right? So again, everything is sub-slab. Everything is underneath the slab. If it's leaking up top, you're going to notice it. You're going to see it. If it's in an attic, if it's a roof leak, again, that has nothing to do with the plumbing leaks that we're actually talking about. So again, let's take a look at this property right here, and we're going to scroll through it. And what we're trying to say is this: whether it's a commercial property, whether it's a high-end residential property like the property you see right here, there's a lot of different equations to this. There's only 1 meter on this property. We did a full leak detection on it. It actually wound up being an irrigation issue. But there's only 1 meter on an actual house, on this actual house. Again, some of them have multiple, some of them have landscape or water use meters compared to the actual potable or drinking water or bathing water that's within a property. But when you have a structure like this, there's a secondary house. That's a whole nother water source. Does it have a shutoff? There's a pool. Does it have an autofill? Does it have a shutoff? There's an arcade down on the other side of this property. So we're going to run through. And so here's a picture of the main house. Here's a picture that we squared off on the pool. Here's a picture of a cabana that has a sink. When you're walking a property, you have to be looking for all this, and we're going to do that, again, when we walk a property. Not only are we going to walk a property's outside perimeter to see what's tied to that property, look, you might walk up to this property on a leak detection, or you might walk up to just a regular single-family house, no detached garages, no pool, no irrigation system, and then, again, your leak's going to be a lot easier. But when you have a property like this, you're going to run into a lot more investigating. That's why you got to get a lot more money for these jobs. Again, you have multiple irrigation setups on this house. You have autofills. You have multiple dwellings, multiple buildings, and all sorts of other stuff. So walking the property is absolutely crucial to something like this. But then we're going to go and we squared off everything else that we had. Now we have a secondary house over here. This is a guest house. That being said, that has toilets, that has sinks, that has everything. And again, you could run into leak detections under that. I believe there was a garage attached to that might have had other water sources as well. And then we had another separate building down below, which gives us again, multiple other water sources. So there's irrigation around it. There's, bathroom facilities or whatever there might be within that case. So what we wanted to do is, again, before I get out of that, is just talk about the walking. When you go into a dwelling and when you're walking, you might have seen that in the video, but it's always good to stay right. And you have to control these jobs. When you're on a leak detection, if you can't gain access to everything, if you can't gain access to one bathroom that's in a dwelling, you can't do a full leak detection. Before marijuana became legal in California, there used to be a lot of illegal grow operations where we would be paid to come out and do a leak detection. And they used to say, well, you can't access this part of the building or whatever it is. Look, we don't care what you're doing in your building, but we couldn't do the leak detections. We had to walk away from them because if you can't access a certain part of a property, then you can't get in there and do everything that you need to do as far as a leak detection is concerned. So going over that, I think we pretty much covered a lot of the equipment. Did we have any questions as we come up to this?
Yeah, we have a few questions about the PG2.
Sure, let's shoot.
We have John Goosens on YouTube. You connect an air compressor to the PG2. Is the compressor...
Absolutely not. So the PG2 is going to get hooked up to any water source on the actual property itself. We has a convenient hose bib setup. So if we don't have a hose bib outside of a house, we'll hook it up to the hose bib by a washing machine, right? And then we'll throw another hose on to get the water out of the house. So in order for this to work, water has to flow through it. So you hook it up and literally turn it on. It has a full rechargeable battery and it makes it easy to use. You hear the clicking? Listen. When water's running through it, it starts it and it stops it, and it just keeps that cycle going. The starting and stopping is what creates a good tap throughout the whole entire line. Not the tap from here, but the fact that there's a spring-activated check valve in there that opens and closes, and it creates boom, boom, boom. Almost sounds like a heartbeat when you're listening with the equipment. And that being said, no compressor hooks up to this. This hooks up to either the hot or the cold side on any dwelling.
And then to add on to that, again, John Goosens asked, is there a max distance for the PG2?
Yeah, you lose sound the further down the line you go. So it's a good question, and it's almost like the question like the pressure rig. The closer you are to the PG2, the more you're going to hear that line. And that noise will dissipate as lines get deeper and as lines get further away. So if you're working on a property like this, it would be good to hook it up to each dwelling if you needed to map out where those lines are in between. And it's a good question, and yeah, you will eventually start to lose sound.
And then I got a follow-up question on that one.
Sure.
Let's say there's a 100-foot line from the meter to the house. How would you go about that, since you're going to lose some?
You would hook this up to the house and you would listen the best you could as far as the distance is concerned. 100 feet, sometimes we're hearing them. If they're not too deep, we should be able to hear almost 100 feet. Again, depending on the depth, depending on the type of line, depending on the material that it's made of, and so on. But in certain situations, there are some times where we'll actually use the PG2 to locate a line. We might sometimes dig it up if it's in an area where we don't have to break concrete or anything, put it on at that point, and now we could pressure test both ways between the house and the actual meter itself. Good to go?
No, we have tons of questions.
Please, bring them.
Yeah. Quinn asks, on the pool side of things, can you find the leak without air?
On the pool side of things? Yeah, so again, that's another topic. We covered that on our last presentation that we did. We have hydrophones that go in pools. So again, pool scopes, pipe mics, SM1s. Check out our stuff online. Watch hundreds of videos that we have on YouTube, or give us a call to explain it to you. But yeah, most leaks, again, on the pool side, 95% of all leaks are located within the 3-foot radius of the actual pool itself, and which makes those mics a lot easier. But there's a lot to do with pool plumbing that has a lot to do with the pool or plumbing equipment. So yes, on pool plumbing, it's very similar to doing that. Again, we pressure up lines with air and water. We listen over hard surfaces with deck plates and over soily areas with soil probes.
Another PG2 question here from David Allen on YouTube. If the PG2 causes the sounds to resonate throughout the system, can it be used effectively to locate and trace the entire water system?
It can. Look, we recommended using it on lines, but look, it's going to tap everything on. So if you're running the cold water, it's going to run everything on the cold water. Usually hot and cold are run together, but you never know how they plumb things up. Therefore, it's a good question. We do use it to map out. I wouldn't call it a complete mapper. I don't think there's anything for non-metallic pipes to actually do that. So the answer to your question is we use it more for locating the line that we need to find a leak in. And can we map out other things that we hear? Yeah, we can mark a floor. And if we hear tapping underneath it, we know there's a pipe.
AJW, I believe they're a PG2 customer. One thing I do wish that the PG2 kicked a little harder. Yeah. Great product so far.
Again, it's a great product so far, depending on the amount of pressure. So I understand where they're coming from with that. However, it depends on the pressure that you're sending through as well. So if we have crazy flow, we're going to get a lot more bang and a lot more pressure. And if we have low flow, it's just the way it actually works and the way it's designed. But I get what you're saying. I feel where you're coming from.
Another PG2 question from John Goosens. In an irrigation system, does the PG2 sound go through the irrigation valves when we open them manually?
Yes and no. So you will get some taps through. Open them manually. Look, if there's water flowing through it, you're going to get the tap. If there's no water flowing through it, you're going to get the tap for just a very short distance. So the answer to your question is open the valves, let the water flow. The water has to be flowing for it to get the back tapping sounds.
Alan's Plumbing on YouTube asks, are you inserting air into your system using a pressurized bottle or compressor?
I don't use any gases. I don't use any bottles. I don't even use bottles of air. I'm anti-gas. I'm anti-helium. I'm anti-CO2. I'm anti-anything where you have to go down to the store, buy a big lug of a heavy tank of gas and drag it onto a job site. I like to use a $100 compressor from Harbor Freight, 6-gallon compressor. Don't ever buy the compressor that runs as you go because you can't hear anything because the thing's running. You get a small 6-gallon compressor, it works on almost any job site whatsoever.
And then last question at the moment on Instagram, we have FTO Plumbers. They seem like they're interested in actually the pool side of things.
Cool. We had a lot of crossover for that matter.
Yeah, what is the best pool mic?
The best pool mic, your best bet on the pool side, if you're a plumber, is to do our training with our Pro Complete kit, because that literally covers everything. It covers pool plumbing, it covers all your hydrophones, pool scope, pipe mic, it covers literally all of that stuff. What's that beeping that we got going on?
There's a car.
Oh, okay.
There, yeah.
So yeah, and again, if you're a plumber, I highly recommend jumping onto our pool leak detection training. You're going to get the most out of it, and you're going to get a big bang for the buck. And again, we're giving out deals. If you say that you mentioned it or you heard it on this live, we will hook you up as far as pricing is concerned. We ready to move on?
All right, ready to move on.
All right, so let's move on a little bit about the business end of this, which is important. It's expanding your business, and that being said, you need to know that doing these leak detections, 30, 40, 50%, maybe 30, 40% should be coming in of your revenue should be coming in from the actual diagnostic, and most of it should be coming in from the repairs that you generate. Again, when I was doing on the pool side, it was more like 30, 70% heavy on the actual repairs. There's so much money to be made in the repair side on the plumbing. Again, you need to be licensed on that end. And again, a lot of states will allow you to do diagnostic without the actual work. A lot of guys are working with good subcontractors. Always know that you need to be able to go out and you need to be able to handle those jobs if it ever comes down to it. So try to rely on good people, but use your brain to make the money. I can't begin to tell you how many guys that were just literal wrench turners. They were literally faucet replacers that get into the leak detection side, and they are now killing it. They're making a lot of money, and they're really enjoying their lives. Forget about the rest of the business. We make it easier for you to do that. Take a look at what we have right here, and this is our LeakTronics leak detection app. And this is for plumbers, this is for pool guys, this is for pool, swimming pool plumbing and inspection as well. So again, on the plumber side, as you see as we scroll, it's not only going to generate a full report, take pictures of the job, give a cover photo. It's like a really nice report that it actually generates. But it's also giving you a checklist on how to do that job so that you don't miss. Look, I've done thousands and thousands of leak detections, and sometimes I don't follow my own rule. Sometimes having this checklist in front of me keeps me straight, keeps me going, and keeps me from missing and making mistakes as we go as far as that's concerned. Another thing that we're doing now, look, when I was running my businesses, and I built a couple of successful leak detection businesses, and I sold those businesses successfully as well. And one thing that I didn't have time for was the marketing. I mean, I did have time for it, but I literally worked 20-hour days. So I'd go out, I'd take care of my customers, I'd do really good work, take care of my employees, run everything, and then I would literally come home to take care of my marketing. I didn't have what I'm offering to my pool guys and my plumbing guys right now is Bulldog Marketing Group. So not only will we build you an incredible website, but it's what we do on the back end. We take care of your search engine optimization. We take care of your blogging. We take care of maintaining it and making it a secure website. We take care of all your digital marketing. It's something that you don't have time for. If I ask any one of you out there that actually have a website, when's the last time you blogged it? I know what the answer is going to be, and the answer is going to be Shoot, I don't even know how to get in and blog it, right? So you guys built a website. You guys might have paid somebody to build a website, but it's doing absolutely nothing for you right now unless you're taking care of the back end, and that's what we do. So we charge you monthly. It's a flat rate per month, and we are going to go to bat for you. We are going to do everything that we need to be doing to get you found on page 1, page 2, page 3 of the big Google, of Bing, of Yahoo, of whatever search engines are left out there. We're getting into AI. We're dealing with all the new technology as it comes. Let us take care of your marketing, and you take care of your customers. Let's go on to the next one. Let's going to finish this up with questions and answers. Does anybody else have any questions out there that we're running into?
One of the questions that came in was right on time when you started talking about Bulldog marketing. If I get into leak detection, could you help me out with marketing?
100%. Again, I think you just heard the answer to that question, and that being, yeah, we will kill it with marketing. Give us a call. Call us in the office. The office number is 818-436-2953. Go to LeakTronics.com. Check out our YouTube channels. We chat live with you online. Send up a smoke signal and we will find you. But there's so many different ways of getting in touch with us. Ask anybody that uses our equipment the amount of customer services that we provide. You're out on a leak detection. You're frustrated. It's hot. Call us up. We're going to walk you through that leak detection. You don't believe it? Give us a shot. We're also doing it in Spanish as well. We have Spanish customer service representatives that do leak detections that can help you out all day. With that being said, we appreciate you coming out to the live. If you have any questions, this is going to be made available in a recording. It's going to be up on our YouTube channel. And give us a call for any deals that we have going on out there. And again, I appreciate you coming out live with us.
Yeah, we currently have those summer deals of the plumbing free PG2 when you buy a plumber's kit.
Correct.
And then we also, on the swimming pool side, we have
the
if
free,
you buy any
the free
complete
SM1.
kits, you got a free SM1 with your purchase.
Yep.
So FTO plumbers, I see you asking the questions about the pool leak detection. Seems like you're very interested. Make sure you give us a call. And one of our guys, Chris, will definitely help you out with getting into pool leak detection if you're interested in that. Definitely also check out the very last live that we did.
Yeah, feel free to, if you want to jump in on the pool side, take a look at that live. It was more about pools. Our next live is going to be, we're going to do 2 lives a month. We're not putting out the date right now, but we will put out the date. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Instagram channel, our Facebook. We don't do that much more on TikTok anymore. They make it hard to do these lives. But again, we're across all platforms. Reach out, give us a shout. Let us know.
Hey, we do have some great questions coming
Sure,
in.
let's go.
I know there's a little bit of a delay whenever we do switch to a certain thing, but
That's cool.
Yeah, there's some good questions here.
Let's go.
So, David Allen, is there a smaller version of the pressure rig available to be paired with the plumber's kit?
No, and let me tell you why I don't like that. Every once in a while, a line gets saturated, and that's what we do with the water. But every once in a while, we need to do air and water, especially if we needed to get it to go down a pipe. And that being said, air and water mix in this chamber, and you could just put a little plumber's tee, you could put a little brass tee. Those kind of pressure rigs suck. They don't work well. Therefore, I like to do it in this size. It's sometimes a little bulky. It's sometimes a little hard to carry out. Sometimes guys will drop it and break a pressure rig off or a valve off. I get that, but we built it like this for an actual reason. Next question.
All right. We actually have a question about our app.
Let's go.
Is the LeakTronics app capable with Service Titan?
No, it doesn't interact with Service Titan. We're a little like Apple as far as that's concerned, where we keep it just for ourselves. But again, it doesn't interact with Service Titan, but we're adding some options to it. We're going to start doing some mapping down the road with it. It's a great app. Once you customize it for your job, it'll spit out a report. It'll have your logo, your letterhead. It'll have a picture of the property on the cover page, all the pictures that are necessary. It saves the data to the cloud. You could always access it. It will work if you go offline. So if you're in a rural property somewhere, it will hold that data until you go back online so that you can generate the report and do everything you need to do from that point.
All right, we have White Mock on YouTube doing a dye test. No need to turn pump off or plug to dye test waterline tile that are not sealed.
I disagree with that altogether. Whenever I'm using any kind of guy, and this is on the pool side, we're jumping off of plumbing, that's on the pool side. Whenever I'm using any kind of dye, I try to get that pool as still as possible. And if it means turning up a recirc, if there's a spa spilling over, it's going to bounce. If there's water blowing out returns, it's going to affect what you're doing as far as a dye test. I always recommend shutting a system down, getting everything as still and quiet as possible before doing that.
And then we have FTO Plumbers again on Instagram. What's a good intro price for pool leak detection?
So the intro price for doing the actual job or the cost to get involved?
I'm not sure, actually.
All right, if you could reiterate that. Look, to buy the equipment, I think it's a $3,200 purchase. And that, again, that's on the swimming pool side, but that includes all the mics. There's a whole bunch of stuff that it comes with. We have the training. We have a package with the training, so you're saving a lot of money on that. And again, the unlimited technical support. We'll also, anybody that's using our equipment, if you don't have our app, we will give you that app for free for 1 year. If you're buying our equipment right now, we will give you that app, again, free for 1 year, and then it's $300 a year, unlimited use, as many people that you want to use it within your company.
All right, and then I believe this is going to be our last question of the day, unless anybody else jumps on in. Derek Dolans on YouTube, what's the best way to find guys to train?
You know, that's a really good question. I like to find them young. I like to find them ambitious. My first guy here in California was at a work pool at a Home Depot looking for work. And I pulled up to them and I said, "Who speaks English here?" And he raised his hand and he kept his mouth quiet and he kept his ears open and he watched. And he's one of the best leak detection guys now in the Southern California market. His name is William. He builds microphones in the back. He does leak detections. I let him do his thing on the side. And that's how I really found a lot of good guys. I find guys, I like to train them when they're open-minded. What I don't like is bringing other guys that did leak detections to come work for me. They have their own way. I want them to learn my way. So by doing that, again, I try to get them, anybody that wants to keep their eyes open, wants to learn, that shows up every day is a good candidate.
One more question about the app. How do you get the app?
You could get the app by giving us a call in the office. You could go to the App Store. You could go to the Google Play Store. You could download it there. Because I said it's for free, you must give us a call or email us, and we will send you a coupon code so you could download it. You're going to have to put your credit card information in. It won't bill it, but it will bill it in a year to renew, and you could cancel it at any time.
All right,
Good.
That's about
Good
it.
to go. Again, we appreciate you all coming out to our live. I hope it was good. I hope we didn't lose too many of you with the audio at the beginning. But again, we're getting better as we go. Again, thanks for coming out.
I wanted a chill tub because it's part of my lifestyle now. I was recently in Bali and I was doing it every single day and the benefits were just incredible. So I thought, get myself a chill tub every morning, first one of the day. It's got to be done. When I was a professional footballer in my QPR days, I'd do it regularly after training for the recovery benefits. I lived in Iceland, so I was actually went into the cold water sea after training. So that was, I guess, a natural chill tub, and the benefits were just endless. So for my whole career, fitness-wise, footballing-wise, I know the benefits of things like chill tub. So I'm very excited to get back into that routine. Yeah, the main benefits will definitely be my recovery, quicker recovery time to allow me to push and go harder with my training, whether it's running or in the gym or my life workouts. I think it's have huge mental health benefits. I know the dopamine rush you receive from getting in a chill tub is massive. So I'm excited to experience that dopamine rush most days. I know that dopamine rush lasts for about 8 hours. So I'm excited for that feeling to make me feel positive, motivated every single day. For me, the most beneficial time will be first thing in the morning. I think it's going to release those endorphins to my brain. It's going to make me feel very motivated going into the day. But of course, there'll be days where I'll use it twice. maybe midday after my workouts. If it's a tough workout, I'll use it again. But for me, I'm really excited to use it for sunrise first thing in the morning. To be 3 minutes in there is very difficult. So if you
Fire and flavor are seldom.